Thank you, and thank you for being here today. And I do wish that FEMA had been here. I think they would have been an integral part of this discussion. I echo a lot of the concerns from my colleagues that I've heard today, and appreciate your candid comments as well about the challenges we still have moving forward, but the good things that are happening with the alerts. One of the things I do have concerns about sometimes, particularly in the state of Nevada, where we have a very diverse and growing population, are language barriers. I know Ms. Folks and Mr. Bergman, you talked a little bit about this and the actions that were taken in 2016 to enable Spanish language alerts. Can you talk a little bit more about that and describe how that works to ensure understandable alerts are sent to everyone, and then not just Spanish language alone? In Nevada, particularly in southern Nevada, we have a large Filipino population. Tagalog is an important language, obviously, and that's a barrier for those who do not speak Spanish. So can you talk a little bit about language barriers and how you address those and where the gaps are and what we should be doing to also keep that in mind and when we're talking about reaching out to everyone in our communities when there is a crisis or a concern of a natural disaster?
Well, as you noted, the commission back in 2016 adopted rules to facilitate Spanish language via alerts. We do currently have the broader issue that is pending before us that we're still considering regarding other languages, and to what extent we should be looking at alerts in other types of languages.
Not there yet, though.
Not there. It's still it's pending.
Mm-hmm. And then, Mr. Bergman, if you don't mind, talking a little bit about how you, particularly with Spanish, how you overcome that barrier with the technology.
Sure, Senator. I think we certainly agree with you and think that's an important improvement. It's one that we're working diligently to implement. And then just would flag, again, the addition of URLs plays an important role as well, too, right? Because we think often of we as a bell ringer, right? The idea is that you're letting folks know that there's an issue and then giving them the opportunity to go and get additional information. So together, those two tools we think will be very valuable for consumers, particularly for those who speak languages other than English as well, too.
Thank you. And besides language barriers, and I echo my colleagues again, there's geographic barriers, rural communities, particularly in Nevada and across the country, that are still struggling to have broadband access and access to be able to use some of the technology that's out there that's providing this information. I know this is an area where we've talked and will continue to support to bring resources and funding to our rural communities to connect them, but to me this is just a crisis as well, that they are not connected right now, and it's a focus for many of us. Let me ask you this. Cybersecurity. Is there any concern about hackers hacking into an alert system in any manner whatsoever? Have we seen any of that, or is it something that you're thinking about or making sure you're addressing in the infrastructure?
The FCC has addressed the issue of cybersecurity, particularly with respect to the EAS through its advisory committee. You may or may not recall that back in 2013, a hacker gained access to EAS equipment at various broadcast stations across the country. We conducted an investigation. We asked our advisory committee to come up with best practices that EAS participants could use to make their equipment more secure. In addition to which, the FCC, through its advisory committees, has developed best practices for really all the communication sectors to address security risk management, specifically how to implement the NIST framework.
The best practices are there, but there's no guarantee that they're going to be adopted.
We have taken steps to communication service providers to implement those best practices. We also work with industry organizations, and many of the industry organizations, for example, NAB, has done a lot to encourage its members to implement those best practices.
Right, but we're still at the stage of encouragement and not necessarily mandated that these
Yes.
being implemented, right? Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the conversation today.